Hi, I'm Erin Selby, Director of Education and Training for UFCW Local 832, and the host of our monthly SOFA series, where we bring you topics and expert speakers to your home through the magic of internet. We started the SOFA series in the cold, isolating months of the pandemic winter 1 year ago, and we've learned so many things since then. Now that we're into the holiday season of dinner parties and festive gatherings, we thought we'd pull a few facts together from some of our past SOFA series recordings so that you can use them as conversation starters over the next few weeks. The number one comes from our March SOFA series on what we can do to save Lake Winnipeg. Our Mike from the Manitoba Museum hits us with this astonishing fact.
But it is the sixth largest freshwater lake in Canada, and it is the 11th largest in the world. But perhaps one of the less positive titles that it has been given is it has now been designated one of the top 10 most endangered lakes in the world.
We've got a lot of work ahead of us to get Lake Winnipeg out of endangered status. And Mike walked us through many steps we can take if you want to take action yourself. Our next conversation starter comes from our May SOFA series on how to become a better ally, which is where we learn the importance of educating ourselves and sharing our pronouns. Now, one important distinction that Bree from Rainbow Resource Center shared was to avoid using the word preferred pronouns, as the word preferred can imply that a person's pronouns are optional.
Using the correct pronouns is one of the most important aspects of being a good ally. It's kind of a hot topic in a sense, and that's because it is so important for different people. So on the screen here, you can see a variety of different pronouns that exist. This list is not exhaustive. There are other pronouns that exist outside of this list as well, but they are just some to be aware of. So pronouns such as she, her, he, him, they, them, sie, zir, here, or sie, them. As I said, those aren't all of them, but being aware that there are pronouns that exist outside of she and he, because that's what society is most comfortable with, it's most used to, but it's up to you to get comfortable with pronouns other than just she, her, and he, him. So one of the ways you can do that is to just ask people what their pronouns are.
At UFCW 832, we've been adding our pronouns into our email signatures as an additional way to create the opportunity for others to share theirs. If you're at a party, I'd encourage you to introduce yourself with your own pronouns and allow others to do the same. In October, we embraced the ghostly season and had Kristen, who hosts Winnipeg Ghost Tour, share some of the haunting stories she's collected over the years. This ghost story was from the spaces between the Times Change High and Lonesome Club on Main Street and was new to many of us.
But that particular spot years ago used to be a hair salon. And the people who worked there kept having this very unnerving feeling that they were always being watched. And they definitely knew it wasn't their boss, because that at least they could account for. But it was like being watched by somebody they couldn't see. So as time went on, they just sort of had to live with it. And eventually management decided they wanted to renovate the place and spruce it up. So they hired this crew, and this crew came in and they started ripping out walls. And when they opened up one of the walls, they found something they were not expecting. No, not a body, but almost. They actually found a shriveled up index finger. Yeah. So apparently they disposed of this finger. Now, whether or not that means that they pitched it into the BFI bin out back, which I doubt, or maybe they gave the finger to the police. Maybe that didn't come out right. Maybe they gave the item to the officers. Yeah. So anyway, my understanding is that once this finger left the shop, that feeling of being watched faded away.
Kristen was such an animated storyteller. We had a lot of fun hearing her stories. And last but not least comes from our April SOFA series on the 1919 Winnipeg General Strike. At UFCW Local 832, we've heard a lot about the history of this strike, but for those of you who haven't dug into it, there's a lot to learn from this episode. At that time, 30,000 workers went on strike in the city, and the population was only about 180,000. One of the most interesting people that I would encourage you all to learn more about was labor leader Helen Armstrong, who was one of only 2 women on the 53-member strike committee in 1919, but was also one of the most active and the most frequently jailed.
So here we see again the lady who was behind the Woolworth strike, Helen Armstrong, who is one of the most fascinating people in Manitoba history. She recognized this right away, that the burden of the sacrifice of being on strike affected particularly these young female workers more than others. And so what she did is she set up what she called the Labor Cafe. And so this is the Strathcona Hotel. It was exactly right here on Rupert and Main, where the museum, Manitoba Museum, is today. And using volunteers, they would serve about 1,500 meals a day.
Helen Armstrong was such an interesting and inspired leader, and definitely one worth Googling if you have the time. On behalf of UFCW Local 832, I want to wish you all a happy and healthy holiday season, and I sincerely hope that these conversation starters will serve you well in the weeks ahead. If you want to watch any of our past SOFA series episodes or see what we have in store for 2022, you can check it out on our website at ufcw832.com/SOFA series.